Hey everyone, welcome to the Turnbuckle Tavern. We thought we'd jump on, do a little quick talk about everything that's going on. My name is Sneed.
I'm the ace of the tavern, Stephen Acefield.
You do it.
Go Hawk.
The ratings wizard, Pastor
There
Hawk.
he is.
There you go.
There he is.
And I'm
And
the
joining us
ratings
live.
blizzard. The Australian icon, Nick Storm, ladies and
Oh,
gents.
love it.
Oh.
Thunder from down under, Nick Storm.
Yeah. My Australian stripper friends. You saw them in full force at Vegas. So
I wish.
At least we know someone's in Vegas, and that's Hawk. We don't know who else is in Vegas anymore.
That's very true, which is why we're here. The whole world's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it right now. MJF.
Mom's texting me.
What's that?
My mom's texting me like, "What's going on?"
See, and that's
Oh,
how
wow.
everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
So to catch everybody, if you've been the past 24 hours, MJF no-showed the FanFest yesterday where Hawk had a scheduled meet and greet with him. And then it just kind of went downhill from there. It was reported he had a flight scheduled out of Vegas. All of the talk about him having problems backstage have just completely blown up. It seemed like it was a work at first. Now it seems more like a shoot. Could be either, but we're here to talk about it ahead of the event tonight at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, this is really blurring the lines, and it's apropos of everything we're watching on Shot Nostalgia with Brian Pillman, where what's real and what's not becomes super blurry, and that's when wrestling is at its absolute best. But I was at the top of the list of saying this is a work. This feels like it's just MJF being MJF. But as things have started to unfold, especially this morning, we're seeing promotional things be removed off YouTube, things off their Instagram, tweets deleted. It seems like there's something more deeper rooted than this, and it might come down to the almighty dollar, and that's money. So it seems like that's what the root of this problem has simply become.
So I'm going with 100% work, no doubt in my mind, because at FanFest you have to understand the lines at these meet and greets. They're ridiculous. And MJF, he wasn't announced as a no-show until about 30 to 35 minutes into the time. Like, he was scheduled for 12:45, and they didn't announce a no-show till 1:15 or 1:20.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, his actual bodyguard, or they say his bodyguard, came out and was, like, explaining to the situation. They huddled a few groups up to tell him, and then we could go get a refund. And even the refund people, they just seemed overly angry. Like, their whole job is to sit there and just process this shit. And then all of a sudden you're going to get your refund, and these people are, like, abnormally angry. I don't know if they just hate their job that much and the double workload made them that angry, or if they were instructed to, like, play it like, oh, everyone's so super fucking pissed about it. But when I bought the meet and greet, I don't know if I said it on the podcast or not, but I had a feeling, like, I don't know, I think he's gonna no show or some bullshit. And again, I don't know if this is a thing, but do they process this refund in 3 seconds? Hey, what's your last name? Hockenberger. Boom, it's in your account. Almost like they're just prepped for it.
Right.
You know? And given it's
Okay.
MJF, I'm just going work. I'm not buying into it even a little bit.
So how long are the lines for so how many people would you say are in line for these meet and greets? Or how many do you think they sell for these meet and greets?
I would say they leave it open for, I want to say probably 500.
Yeah.
Because they give you an hour, and I think it's like an hour and a half. And then it seems like there's always 100 people in the line at any given moment. So, yeah, I don't know. Probably upwards of like 500.
Maybe you didn't want to face the wizard, huh? I mean,
He is becoming my
Yeah.
nemesis. Shut me down in
Yeah.
Chicago, doesn't show up in Vegas. This fucker. I love
So,
it. I
to
think
talk about Young
says
Anthony's,
no at you.
to talk about the Young Anthony's thing, this is a completely different thing with Samoa Joe not showing up, because he apparently was double booked on the same weekend. He did another AEW appearance that exact day. So I think it's completely different. MJF was allegedly playing slots at the Mandalay Resort. I don't know if you guys saw that report from Fightful at some point saying that he was
I heard
playing
that
slots
too.
at the same
Which-
exact time.
that adds to the work to me.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's been talking about the contract shit for probably going on a year now. Maybe not that long. I lose all sense of time. But he's 2 years away from his contract expiring. If this was real and he would do this about 6 months out. You're not going to do this when you have 2 fucking years left on your contract. Call out your boss, all this bullshit. He can't go anywhere else for 2 years unless Tony Khan would release him. So he's not going to be talking all this shit. It's not like the NFL where you have 31 other teams that could come after you when you try this bullshit. This is wrestling where there's like, up until 2 years ago, there was one place to go. Now there just happens to be another alternative. So, and I read an interesting tweet. This guy says, no showing for your meet and greet is not a way to get hired by the WWE. That's the way you get fired from the WWE. And then he said rehired. I don't know. I don't get the reference, but it makes sense. It's like if you are auditioning for another company, you don't audition by just completely shitting on your company in the public sphere.
Well, that's one thing that they don't take. You know, you don't no show for WWE. I mean, if you have a reputation as a no shower, why would they hire you? Why would? Yeah, that's a good point.
But Aaron, on the side of possibly a shoot, when does MJF not have? He has the most leverage in the history of him having leverage right now. And the night before pay-per-view, we see Jeff Jarrett hold Vince apparently at gunpoint for that money before that China match at the housekeeping to put her over because the storyline has been pushed to the limit. And now you need the payoff because now he probably feels like Tony Khan has to pay him or sign an extension, even though he already has one. So the money thing is what's really bothering me because you're watching guys like that come in like Keith Lee or even Swerve Strickland, and they're making more money than MJF, even though he signed an extension and he has been one of the more valuable talents. I understand he signed as a virtual unknown, but at some point he has to be feeling a little bit slighted, work or not. I mean, that he has to feel slighted about not being paid the most in the company because he's featured every single week with the best programming. So he should be one of the higher paid guys.
Yeah, it just makes sense, right? I think I heard something somewhere that his contract now is $150K a year per year. That might be his contract. I think it could be loosely around that, but I heard that's what the NXT people are. That's what their contracts are, right? And if you're getting paid as much as people at NXT and you got people like Keith Lee, I see MJF minimum getting like maybe $500K a year, right? That's what I see. Probably even like that's minimum, right? So he definitely knows his worth, and I feel like a person like MJF, a person like Darby should be getting more money than that if that is the case. But if it is a work, I'll go back to this real quick. It could be a big fucking work just to get pay-per-view buys, which people could be like buy the pay-per-view like, oh, what actually is going to happen with the MJF stuff, and then they buy it and watch it live. If that is a work, that's perfect. But like, it feels weird to me that Tony Khan and AEW, they don't feel like the company that would waste people's time and effort and money like that, waiting in the lines for so long, having to... Yeah, that's why it's kind of like blurred the lines for me. It's like with the whole Sasha Naomi thing. Is it a shoot? Is it a work? Like, I still don't even know that 100% as well, you know?
Well, I go back, and I'm basing this on what Sneed told me, or Chad, the other Chad. Cody did an interview in December, and he said that AEW is getting ready to like blur the lines and do something crazy with storytelling where you don't know. When we all assumed it involved Cody. But now that you're looking back on it, like it didn't have to involve Cody. He didn't say it was his storyline, did he? He said it was AEW was going to do something. Mm-hmm. So that's a possibility. And I just he's the biggest guy in the company. First off, we don't know what his actual contract is, and I'll stand by that. A bunch of people on the internet claim to know here's what he's making. He could be the highest fucking paid dude in the company. We don't fucking know.
Well, that's the thing too about AEW. They've been they're known to have ripped up contracts and signed new contracts to renegotiate with people before their contracts are up. I know they've done that. So,
and this has been in the works for quite some time. Go back a couple of months ago where he did the interview with Ariel Helwani, and Tony Khan came out and he got uncharacteristically upset of someone doing a media appearance. And we've never seen Tony get angry like that up front in the media. It felt like a work a little bit too, because just the conversation should have happened behind the scenes, and it happened right up front on stage for everybody to see. And it feels like this has been building to this moment. It doesn't feel like it's the right time for it to be an absolute work. But I guess that's a better time than ever to fool us, because when's a better time? I mean, as wrestling fans, we're trying to poke holes in this and find a reason that this would be part of the storyline. But that's, you said it too on the debate a while ago, Steve. We want to be worked. We want to be fooled.
Yeah.
We want to feel like this is blurred reality. And I think whether this is real or not, this is fun. This is a lot of fun to have a conversation. It prompted us coming on here and have a conversation before the pay-per-view.
Everyone in the wrestling world is talking about this right now. Everybody. Mm-hmm. This is the number one thing that people are talking about.
Plus, in the real world, breach of contract's a real thing. And MJF just leaving AEW's biggest pay-per-view the night before and not showing up, that's 100% breach of contract legal shit that it's just not. I'm not fooled for a second. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to show up to Double or Nothing, and there's going to be a bunch of those posters that they had for Wardlow. Like, this guy is not allowed on the premises. He's not a part of the AEW roster or some bullshit. They'll kind of circle back to that, and then they'll set up something like, because what's going to happen is, I think if MJF, however they play it, if he's a no-show, Tony Khan's going to offer Wardlow an AEW contract on stage, in the ring, in the public eye, and then I think like MJF shows up or some bullshit. And even if he's a complete no-show for the evening and doesn't show, it's 100% of work, just because of all the real-life implications that would play out if he just did that.
Yeah, they're playing into a talent-based market where we never had this. And I think, Hawk, you alluded to it before, talking about how at one time in the not-so-distant past, we only had WWE as an option. So whether or not they're playing into it. I mean, the Sasha Naomi thing, it rings really true. And I think that was a big piece of what's going on. And Cody as well. They're playing into what's happened in the real life to play into the storyline. And again, I'm stuck out here. I don't know what's real and what's not. And I think we have to see it play through. I hope it's a work, because I want MJF to be with the company. But it wouldn't shock me if it wasn't, because someone has to know their worth. And I think watching guys come in that produce and don't make them as much money, that has to really burn somebody. I mean, that has to make people upset. So MJF probably wants to be the highest paid guy in the company.
And Tony Khan's a businessman, and he knows that, and he knows MJF's worth. Well, I don't know. The Jaguars are perpetually terrible, so his dad doesn't know how to run a business, so maybe he doesn't either. But no, I just think everything you're saying, Tony Khan is aware of.
Right.
He knows. But if we are gonna just for a second, I'll just fucking play into the shoot bullshit, which I don't for a second believe, but I've heard he's trying to renegotiate his contract for more money, but not an extension. And it's like, what world do you live in, buddy? That's just not going to happen. Like, if you're going to renegotiate, if they're going to give you more money, they're getting more time out of you for sure. 100% that there's no right-minded individual comes and be like, I want a new contract. I don't want more time, just more money. And the boss is like, okay, sure, let's do it. It's like, yeah. Right.
That makes no fucking sense. Right?
MJF's on his rookie deal, man. That's every
right. No, he signed the deal. No one forced him to sign. I know he's coming out of Cap and MLW, but he was a relative unknown. That you can make the argument. And this is the same conversation they're having on Raw Down about workers' rights and unionization of the wrestlers and what helps someone get to the platform. Did LeBron James create the NBA? No, he didn't. But he helps the NBA make money. So someone like MJF is feeling like if it wasn't for him, AEW wouldn't be as profitable, but without AEW, you wouldn't have an MJF to have a stage on, because maybe he wouldn't have been signed with WWE. So it's like, what came first, and what sort of ideology do you abide by? And I don't know. I think the talent right now has a lot of leverage, and I'm not sure if it's enough to not be stuck in freezing your contract, because WWE has shown in the past that they will just lock people up like FTR. They just signed him the money and they froze him pretty much. But MJF, maybe he thinks Tony Khan has been progressive enough that he wants his talent to be happy, but this is a huge test for him to book himself out of this. If this is a shoot, to find a way to, this is supposed to be Wardlow's crowning moment. Lost in all of this mess is Wardlow was supposed to be crowned and coronated as a next main eventer. And I don't know how you fix that. I know Meltzer was talking about potentially trying to find a way to make Wardlow feel just as big and overshadow. And the only way you do that is to put him in the title match. But to me, that makes no sense. We talked about it all. It makes hot shot booking. It's bullshit.
Oh, wait. So you're saying like triple threat, the main event with Wardlow?
I'm not saying that. Meltzer conjectured and said that potentially the only way to get the story off of MJF is to do something with Wardlow that would be bigger than beating MJF live on pay-per-view. and that'd be winning
Yeah.
the title. But that makes no sense to me.
That can't do that. They're not.
Yeah,
That's
no.
We've been waiting for that
There's no way.
Hangman Punk match since Punk got in. That's not going to become a triple threat
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
And then they also talked about
0%
Goldberg
chance.
coming in. That was the other conversation, getting Goldberg on a plane to Vegas.
No, no.
It's all a work, man. MJF is going to fucking be there.
Yeah,
I've got-
it's not
I've got
a
a-
work
I've got
to
a-
remove the video package and tweet. He might not show up. I mean, if
Yeah.
that's exactly what they would do is pull the stuff if they want it to be a work.
Exactly. They're pulling out all the stops. They're removing the social media shit. I'm telling you, there's
I know
just
people
no
will
way.
notice that stuff.
There's no way. MJF, as a wrestler, I'm talking from a wrestling standpoint, not a money standpoint. As a wrestler, and I don't watch any other wrestling, I'm willing to bet no other wrestler in the business right now is getting pushed as hard as MJF has by AEW the last 2 years.
Hawk, were you on board with Cody being a worker shoot when that first was going down?
I thought it was a work, and I'll say that I'm basing all my opinions on the Cody thing was based on an interview that Chad said Cody.
I agree with you. I thought
that
it was
was it.
well. Yeah.
And that was it. But now that interview could still be 100% true. We just all took it to mean that Cody's storyline was going there. But see, he was an executive. He knew that, and you get this Wardlow MJF was going on when Cody was still with the company. So they had already planted the seed. They've been planting the seeds of this one for a year and a half, and Cody was there for all that. So I think that this was what he was talking about. And I think, but yeah, I thought the Cody thing was a work at first, but solely based on that interview, nothing else.
So Anthony, the quote, I mean, the thing here is a good question. If this is a work, why do it at the expense of Wardlow, who they've been building up? You can make the argument. It's like the Bryan Danielson effect, the Daniel Bryan effect in WWE. When someone's held down, they feel like that he's getting screwed. He's getting the raw deal. He already has people loving him. His on-screen character is very over. But to build empathy to what he's going through behind the scenes could take him to the next level. And we may have a superstar being born with Wardlow. If this is a work, now everyone's going to be even further behind him because like, wow, MJF fucking screwed this guy. He's supposed to have his moment. And now everyone's going to get behind him like Daniel Bryan. When Daniel Bryan was getting beaten down, whether WWE tried to do that or not, they created a superstar because they continually went against the grain and didn't give people what they wanted. This may create Wardlow into the superstar that could take him to the next level better than just beating him. Now it's like, oh, he got screwed. We have to double down and be even more behind him.
You have to understand, though, what is the MJF finally gets power bombed tonight after they're just adding one more element to the whole thing. Like you're giving they've been building this. They just want one more thing to add to the fire, add fuel to the fire, and it's this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 100%, I would be back to, well, I don't know if you guys know the bet we have on the tavern right now, but if MJF wins the match, the Chads, or at least Chad Smith said he would admit that it was terrible storytelling. Where if Wardlow wins, I have to admit it was great long-term storytelling. If this is a work and MJF doesn't show up, I feel like they have to concede that it was terrible storytelling. Anything short of MJF getting powerbombed tonight at Double or Nothing is bad storytelling.
No, wait a second though. But if that happens, then Wardlow wins. And you said no matter how he wins, you're going to concede that it was good booking.
Exactly. That I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay.
If Wardlow wins, it was great booking, and this adds one more thing to it, and then I'll have to eat a bit more crow because they did add one more good, enticing thing into the storyline.
Okay.
But if MJF doesn't show and it's a work, or MJF wins the match, then obviously you guys were dead wrong.
So Sean Ross Sapp just tweeted probably about 10 minutes ago that he's still not backstage, and I think Meltzer was saying the night before was that there was a time, I think it was 3:00 Eastern, that everyone would be going over their matches and going over the finishes, and MJF was nowhere to be found. So this is very, very similar to the Brian Pillman stuff. To me, this looks so much like what was going on where Bischoff was trying really hard to get people to believe that he was an outsider. He was trying to go into business for himself, and it wasn't fooling people back then, but at least it blurred the line. This is fooling even the longest tenured wrestling journalists, and they're doing something right if it is a work.
videos back on YouTube promoting the match. Yeah, I mean
that is interesting. I've got a question for you guys. So if whatever happens, MJF, you hear his music, he comes out. What's the crowd reaction like? Whether it's a cheer that he's actually here and he's not left and he's actually doing the match, or is it just going to be at a complete array of just boos and
it's an array of boos. I think.
Fuck you, MJF.
Yeah, I think the AEW crowd plays along because I think we talked about this again. I think on whatever show WWE never gives you what you want. AEW usually does as far as character work goes, and people want to play along. They're going to boo the heel, they're going to cheer the face, but everyone loves MJF. Everyone loves what he's doing, but if he's doing a good job, you have to boo him. If you're cheering him, he's not doing his job.
Exactly. He's Bret Hart in Canada, man. He only gets his accolades when he goes to Long Island.
You got to boo MJF 100%.
Yeah, because that's going against what he's doing. If you're not booing MJF, then it's like he's not doing a good job of his character.
Yeah, I feel like more people are even going to be booing him because it's like this is. Because some people think this is not even character work at this point. It's just MJF being a dick, right? So I feel like that he's going to get even more boos. The boos are going to be so loud. It's deafening if he does show. So it's definitely interesting.
If he no-shows and this is part of the story and Wardlow MJF evolves into the story of MJF Wardlow, the company, that's phenomenal booking because so many people are arguing shoot or work.
No. It's got to get... No, it's got to get resolved tonight. You can continue on the storyline, but if MJF wins or no shows and it's work, I win. You have to don't go changing it.
I never agreed to anything. You can talk to Chad about that.
I will. I will talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see how this plays out on TV when they have to open the show. If MJF's not there, they have to open the show and say he's not coming. And say the match is canceled because if they go through the match and play the music and have him come out and not show up, then it's a work because then they're like, he's not here. We played the music. He's not coming. But if they open up and do a solemn open where Excalibur's he's not coming, not bury him like Michael Cole did to Sasha and Naomi.
Oh my God.
But just say match is off the table. MJF's not here. And let's go from there.
They're totally going to play his music and he's not going to come out.
If that happens, it's a work.
I would say
to me that's a very big decisive thing where it's is he going to come? They have the camera on the ramp, or Tony.
It's 100% work. This dude is not going to fly to Vegas and he's going to be here, and then just suddenly right before his meet and greet, be like, you know what? Fuck AEW, fuck it all, I'm done. And it's just not a thing. It's not a real life thing. When someone's under contract, if he was freelancing, he could do whatever, fine. But there's actual real life legal implications to what he's doing, including sabotaging any future endeavors he might want in the wrestling industry.
But do you guys think that if he doesn't go, so say this is him working on his own and WWE has some leverage here. And don't forget, there's also the other piece where Tony Khan took a shot at Vince McMahon, where this could be playing a huge part in it. Maybe MJF got a call from Vince and offered him and said, do this for me and you'll get X amount. Who knows? If you want to play sort of some deep fake type of stuff. But with Tony and the MJF situation, it's been brewing to a point where they were angry at each other and it's been behind the scenes. Who knows what was said? But also that MJM tweet, you have to know, burned Vince's ass. The fact that Tony was making a mockery of the fact that they moved from Allegiant Stadium, Vegas, the football stadium, to MGM, where the first ever Double or Nothing was, where they eventually graduated out of, and it has to be burning Vince. So who knows if Vince is playing a huge part of this, because it certainly seems like this is pettiness on a different level, where I'm seeing, again, doing Shot Nostalgia, cheap plug here for the other show in the tavern. 1996 rings really, really true. This is like poaching talent and getting a way to get under your opponent's skin and try to get the upper hand. And this feels like Vince being Vince. I don't know.
Uh-oh, Freem's in here. Just texted MJF, said he was typing, but what's that mean though? You know?
He's there. I'm telling you.
Go find him. You're there.
Had I known he was playing slots, I would have.
My original question before I went off on the tangent about that, do you guys think that Vince would be like, I'm not taking him because he did this to AEW? I don't think it hurts his stock at all. I know it's almost like he could spin it the way he wants to Vince and say, I just didn't want to be there. I want to play I want to work for the big boys here in WWE. And he's signed on. They want him. There's no way they don't want him, especially with the
money. If it was 2023, if it was the second part of 2023, I would I would hear you. It's midway through 2022. You're not going to do this with 2 years left on your contract with zero options. It's not like if there was a way for him to jump to WWE and he's on Raw tomorrow, maybe, but it's not. You won't see him in WWE till 2024. He gains nothing. There's nothing to be gained by him at all.
Unless his contract is frozen, right? So he sits on the sidelines and he uses social media to keep his character going. I don't think that'd be enough to have the momentum he has now. He's at the top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone's talking about it, man.
I don't think it's that debatable. I'm actually shocked that wrestling fans are getting worked like this. Like to me, it's
no.
To me, it's just this is all part of the act.
You see that, Hawk?
Wow.
What's that? Yeah, he knows. Christopher V. He knows.
Dude, I don't think this hurts MJF stock at all, because at the end of the day, if this is a shoot, WWE just wants whatever they can get from AEW, and if it's a name like an MJF, just like it was a name like a Cody with huge names within the company, of course WWE is going to get it regardless whether this does hurt his image or not as a professional, right? So I think they're going to try and scoop him up whenever they want, whenever they can. So,
but Hawk's right. There is something to be said about he doesn't have the opportunity to leave, but I think he has the opportunity to make more money in the now from Tony Khan. If Tony wants to hold Tony's feet to the fire and say, I'm not showing up, you can't pay off this storyline, you can't have this match because I won't be there. You have the Jeff Jarrett situation in your hands. You have the Ultimate Warrior situation in your hands where you give him the payoff and then you punish him down the line. So if Tony wants him to do the match, he's going to pay him. And he has enough money to do it. We've seen it. So,
but I'm fully convinced he's making his money, and we don't know what MJF's contract actually is. And he might be one of the highest paid people in AEW.
If anybody can keep kayfabe, if anybody can keep it under wraps, it's MJF. The guy kept character for two people in a pizza restaurant parking lot. You know?
It's true. He wouldn't break it at all.
It was me and you in the parking lot, and he was MJF.
And we saw him at the hotel after that, and he was just walking around with a scowl on his face, like ice on his shoulder, like he'd really been injured in the match.
It was after the match. Yeah.
And if you will, even in the lobby of the hotel, he just looks fucking angry and pissed. He keeps a scowl on his face so no one will talk to him.
So, guys, going back in time to the Punk stuff in 2011, I think, when he was playing that whole angle of going to leave with the title and take it to Ring of Honor and bring it to New Japan, did you for a second, Sneed, I know you're probably watching Wrestling and Hawk, I'm not sure if you were, and Nick as well. This was kind of a long time ago for you, young gun, but he had said he's going to leave with the title. Did you for a second believe Punk was leaving for good and leaving WWE? I didn't. I didn't feel this way that I feel like with MJF.
No, I didn't either. I agree with you.
So,
yeah.
I did because I was 10. So I was like, oh no, my Punky.
This is blurring. No matter how you slice it, though, this is creating conversation outside of the ring where it's blurring the line and making us feel like there's at least a chance. I know that there are a lot of people on the camp of this being a work, but even the fact that we're on here having a conversation, that's good for wrestling. That's good for the product. That's good for AEW and WWE. And when they are doing well, we are doing well as fans. We're getting the best possible product. And I love it, man. This is amazing.
Yeah. So let's go around the horn real quick, kind of a real fast, just give no explanation, work or shoot.
You go first, Sneed.
Work.
I'm going shoot.
Work.
Woot.
Oh. Yeah. You got to pick, man.
It's a shark.
It's a shirk.
It's a shirk.
All right. Well,
no, I'd probably say work if I'm being honest. So I don't know.
I don't think we see MJF tonight. I don't think we see him. And whether
but
that
I'm
makes
gonna
it work
the
or
one
shoot,
caveat is let's say even if we don't see him, that doesn't mean it's not a work. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's just bad storytelling.
Work.
Hawk convinced me this once. He convinced me on something.
Ratings wizard.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, there's one more question, and it's one of the hard-hitting questions and the most hard-hitting question in the chat. Tom needs to know. He needs to know. Hawk, will you please answer this question for him?
Oh, I did my gambling on the way here, going 80 miles per hour down mountain roads with no shoulder. waiting for my car
and
to
you won.
die.
You're alive. You're sitting here,
And
you
I won. So that's the first time I've ever won gambling.
What'd you win? A new car in Vegas.
I'm going to go look at a brand new, or not a brand new, but a 2017 Ford F-150 tomorrow. So I can. I'm stuck in, like, I literally can't leave Vegas right now. I'm stuck here until something happens.
I gotta say though, we need more
Fear
Hawk.
and loathing.
We need more Hawk on the screen. Hawk, I love having you on here. Your spot on takes have been awesome.
I appreciate it, man.
I'm part of the Hawk Appreciation Society. I think you're awesome for the channel, and you bring eyes to
You
it.
see the
And I
vision.
love having conversations with you live and in person like this. This is amazing. And you're a great guy.
Anytime,
I'm glad you
man.
made it safe to Vegas, and I hope you make it home safe. We love you. You're the tavern's wizard.
I love you guys.
What are the pictures behind you? Are those circus pictures
Me?
behind you?
I don't know.
You're
I'm
at Circus
at
Circus, right?
Yeah, no, it's just bullshit. It's some bullshit that somebody thinks is art that's not really art. They just put it in a frame and they're like, "Look at this."
Nice.
But to answer
You gotta-
Tom's question, I'm gonna gamble on the way back. I'm gonna eat these old mushrooms at the pay-per-view, see what happens, and then I'm gonna wander around Vegas after the pay-per-view and gamble a little bit.
So even if MJF doesn't show up, he might show up because you may hallucinate him. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Good
I'm
happen.
ready for it.
Well, make sure you guys tonight tune in. Young Anthony's going to be doing a live stream. He's going to be doing a live watch along with the pay-per-view. So make sure you guys tune in. He'll be here doing the watch along. That'll be a lot of fun. You can find it here on YouTube. You can find it on Discord, but you can find everything that we have on theturnbuckletavern.com. Guys, enjoy the pay-per-view. Enjoy this. This is why wrestling's fun. We're having a blast with it right now.
Yeah, agreed, man. Everybody enjoy, be safe, have a few beverages, all that stuff. Have a good time watching the pay-per-view. Watch the pape, baby. It's going to be great.
Watch the pape. All right. I'll see you
Yep.
guys in the group chat. We'll see everybody else next time we're live. Have a good evening.
Yeah.